me to dance, taking a chance. Telling me to dance, taking a chance. Telling me to dance, taking a chance.
Start your day the joyful way. It's your weekday morning talk show inviting you to start your day with a triple shot of good vibes. And now here's your host, the queen of joy herself, Jessica Dugas. Good Monday morning, everybody. I hope you are doing well today. Welcome to Project Joy Live. It's your triple shot of good vibes every weekday morning. I am so excited about our May series that kicks off today with a very special guest coming up later on in the show. But I would love to know if you're joining us live or on the replay this morning, what is bringing you joy today? Share with us in the comments. Let us know where you're joining from. And of course, say good morning. Say good morning. Say hello. I see some folks joining us already this morning, and it's good to see you guys here today. And I will catch up with you all in just a moment. My joy is that it's a new month. Happy May, everybody. Happy May. It's looking like spring outside here, though I don't think I can say as much for everyone else in the world. We have seen some snow in some of the northern parts of the country and in Canada as well. Over the last couple of weeks, which is crazy to me going into May, but here we are. Grateful for it. Regardless, we are here to celebrate another day. What else is bringing me joy? We had the weekend off. That was lovely. We have what else is going on around here? Everybody's healthy and good in my house, which I'm grateful for at the moment. What else is going on? Had a lovely meeting with all of the Breakthrough Show hosts last Friday, which was so much fun. Always a lot of fun to get together with my fellow hosts, and we're learning, and growing in this world of show hosting and all of that. And let me point out to you people, you guys know Shiraz, okay? You know Shiraz from Rewriting Reality, and he is no different on his show, and how you see him IRL than he is in our host meetings. I just want to say that somehow we ended up on the conversation at the end of our meeting about the most hilarious movies that are out there. And he decided to bring up a film called Skin Deep. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. It is an older movie. It is a riot. So we decided that for the folks that didn't show up to the meeting, that we would just post a clip from the movie in our host chat, which was hysterical because no one had any idea how in the world did we get on this topic. But I will digress on that. It was fun. It was a great kickoff to the weekend with some much needed rest that was absolutely essential. What do we have going on today, you guys? Let me know if there is anything in particular that you are celebrating today. It is Melanoma Monday today, which the irony of all of this, you guys, is something that I've shared several times before. So Friday coming up, I shared with you all that my brother would have had his 37th birthday on Friday, and what he died of was actually melanoma, metastatic melanoma. And so it's always ironic to me that this is Melanoma Awareness Month. Today is Melanoma Monday, and that is ultimately what took his life. And so I wanted to remind you guys today that we have our Random Acts of Kindness event coming up on Friday. It's going to be a very special episode of Project Joy. We're going to cross our fingers, okay? We're going to pray. We're going to send all the good vibes this way, please and thank you, because I don't know how the Friday show's going to come off, but I'm going to be out on the town doing the different things for Random Acts of Kindness Day in memory of my brother Adam. And we've done it every year since he died 12 years ago, and really excited to do that again this year. But so it is Melanoma Monday. For anybody that is not aware, our skin is our biggest organ. Really important that we pay attention to what we put on it. And also, don't be afraid of the sun. Do not be afraid of the sun. A lot of things that we slather on our skin to protect us from the sun are not actually good for us. So please pay attention to that, and don't be afraid to go out in the sun for a reasonable amount of time and get that vitamin D. It's very, very important for our health and wellness. It is also apparently National Life Insurance Day. It was on it marks the anniversary of the first day that life insurance became available in the United States. It also brings awareness to the benefits of life insurance. So find out about that today. I'm going to have to warn you to bring your snack, because today is also Truffle Day. Let me know if you like truffles. I love the truffles, all kinds of truffles. I do not discriminate. I love them. And I particularly like the ones that have different flavors in the center. And I have good memories of going to get truffles at some of the local chocolatiers in Mystic, Connecticut with my grandmother when I was younger. So remembering that today as well. Let's head over to the comments and see what is going on today. Who's joining us this morning? Jason is here. Oh, updating us. The Leafs are playing in the first playoff versus the Lightning. I don't know. My husband follows it, but I don't know. So thank you, Jason, for keeping us up to date on that. Juju's here this morning. Namaste, my friend. How are you today? Always good to see you. Miss Brittany's here today. Happy Monday. Grand rising to you. Miss Shelley's here this morning. Buenos dias. 3 more Fridays, she said. 3 more. Counting down, Shelley is. Good to see you here this morning. Jason said that yesterday was Williams Syndrome Awareness Month. Must have kicked it off. I'll have to look into that, Jason, and we'll talk about it tomorrow morning. For sure. But good to have you guys here. If you're joining us live again, please feel free to comment throughout the show and say good morning. Let us know where you're joining from. And of course, what is bringing you joy today. I went out yesterday and I saw the sunrise, which was really nice. Well, as much of the sunrise as I could see. We had a cloudy morning, and it had rained the night before and all of that. And we had a partial solar eclipse with the new moon and all of that woo-woo stuff over the weekend, which was really nice. It was nice to go out and sit in just the energy of nature. The air, there wasn't too much pollen. That was bringing me a lot of joy, because it's always crazy pollen this time of year here in North Alabama, or in any area of the South, really. But crazy pollen, and it was nice to go out, breathe in the air. And I shared on my TikTok over the weekend a little clip of nature, and it was so loud outside between all of the birds and the bees and the raindrops, but it was the most beautiful loudness you ever heard. It was just stunning and lovely to sit out in that. So that held me over with a lot of joy this weekend as well. Juju says she loves truffles, especially chocolate. All the truffles, Juju, all the truffles, all the time. So listen, you guys, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be right back with our special guest this weekend. So for this week today. Very excited to kick off our May series, and we'll be right back after this. You guys don't go anywhere. Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every day for exclusive programming, special events, and a community to call home, where we invite you to explore, change the way you look at and live your life, and go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com. Welcome back to Project Joy Live. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas. Today is Monday, May 2nd, 2022. Happy May, everybody. It is always good to have you here. Don't forget to use that comment section to share what's bringing you joy today. I would love to hear about that. And I am super thrilled to bring on our special guest today. So, she is an experienced radio host and award-winning communicator whose mission is to communicate to us one simple message: live a large life. Here to dare us, she's going to dare us, you guys, this early in the morning, dare us to matter. Please welcome Shifra Malka to the show. Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, Jessica.
Good to have you here today.
Did you be here? Yes.
Thank you. Did you enjoy your Passover celebrations over the last month? Everything went well?
Everything went very well. Everybody stayed healthy, and it was uplifting, and all the work that I put into it paid off.
That's good. That's good. Do you do a lot of like cooking or all of that?
I host a lot of sleep-in company, as well as there are a lot of meals over the holiday, over the course of 8 days, meal after meal. But I had family over and friends, and we were able to celebrate together the whole everything that matters to us.
Yeah. Speaking of mattering, yes.
Speaking of mattering.
Well, I am so excited that you're going to be with us every Monday in May to talk about mattering. And I have to tell you that it has sparked some very deep and interesting conversations within our breakthrough community and another community I'm in, because I wanted to hear a little bit from other people before we sat down to do this series, and what do they think it means to matter, and just hear a little bit of their perspective. So I'm excited to weave that into a little bit to what we're talking about. But because everybody is new to you here on the show, I would love for you to start out by sharing with everyone how you even fell into or got into this work of sharing about mattering and what that means and how to navigate all of that.
Of course, this book that I wrote didn't start out as a memoir at all. It was meant to be a book on interviews that I had done with as a radio producer and host of a live radio program on Sunday nights. It was I had done a lot of interviews. The show was designed around social and educational initiatives, and as such, I interviewed celebrated people in their fields across the board. And I really wanted to begin to share that which I had so enjoyed myself. These interviews were informational, they were entertaining, they were uplifting. And I wanted to share that. And I began to feel the responsibility to share that. And as I sat down to write that book, a whole different book emerged. And had I known that, I probably would have stopped right then and there, because what emerged was a deeply personal story. And the core of that story was mattering or not mattering in my case, and the pushback against that. And that's what ended up coming forward very quickly, very fully, and very powerfully. And then I was left with the choice, of course, of which, do I really want to put out a memoir, which is so self-revealing? And to this day, the answer is ambivalent, right? There are some things that I'm not comfortable with, but ultimately, this book feels like it's the right thing to do and the right pathway for me in terms of my own mattering.
I love that. And it's so typical of me when I sit down to write something for other people, or when I plan an episode for other people. I benefit so much from the process. And afterwards, I've shared before, even with some of the shows that I've done, like, I did this for you guys, yes, but oh my goodness, did I get so much from this? And I feel so selfish at the end. I said, I don't really care if anybody else got anything, because I got so much from it as well.
And the truth is, we don't really know how
Right.
how what our words are going to say are going to influence somebody else. We never know in whose words our healing is.
Yeah.
We won't know that.
Right. Absolutely. Everybody's saying hello to you in the comments, by the way, and good morning.
Good
I
morning to all of you.
I would love to. Our topic today is to get into what is mattering exactly, and I'm so excited to hear your perspective on this, because when I was asking other people over the last couple of weeks in preparation for our series, there was a lot of different answers. There was a lot of different layers to the question, or answers to the layers to the answers, and it was a lot. So, from your perspective, what exactly is mattering?
As you say, it's very individual. I'll tell you a few pieces around it. I actually do arrive at a definition in the very last chapter that I'm not even going to share with you right now.
Yay.
Okay, we'll let it unfold through the series. But I will say a few things. Number one, mattering is not something we can buy or borrow long term. It's something we create. So don't create it all at once. We create it in bits and pieces. We create it by stepping into the spaces in front of us into which we're invited, and sometimes maybe to that which we're not invited, and making sure that our voice, which is who we are at our core, um, is something that we listen to very carefully. It's very often a soft, still, small, quiet voice, but it's insistent. And it gets our attention in many ways. And that is all part of mattering. We'll talk, of course, more as the conversation unfolds, and draw in people, perhaps, because we will see that mattering is so individual. What matters to one person is completely not on the barometer of somebody else, right? It's not. And that's what we can celebrate about people, is that there are different things that are going to evoke and catalyze and catch people's attention. And just to use a very small example, when we read a book for the first time and then we read it again for a second time, what catches our attention the first time might be very different than what catches our attention the second time. Now, why is that? Because who we bring to the page as a reader is never going to be the same. Who we are on one day is not necessarily going to be the same as the next day. There will have been different forces that have acted upon us and that we have acted upon. So we will be showing up in a different way to that book or to a person. So that's all part of it.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you the different topics of whether or not we feel we matter and the things and people that matter to us. Are those different topics, or do they all tie in? Does it tie in all together?
So let's restate that question once more. You're asking, is there a difference? What is the connection between? Please restate that for me.
Sure. So what is the connection between, or is there one, or what ties together, whether we feel we matter and the things that we feel matter to us, things outside of us and ourselves?
I think there is a very strong connection, because what's going to matter to us outside of us is ideally very connected to what's inside of us. And so just to give you a little bit more about where this mattering concept came from for me. When I was growing up, somehow the messages of not mattering were very pervasive. And I lay it out in the book, the different circumstances, etc. I think it was a confluence of nature and nurture. Some of us show up to life just much more ready to take it on. We know, in my book trailer, actually, I say this, that there are some people who show up to life, they know exactly why they're here, exactly what they're going to do, exactly how their tombstone is going to read. They know it. I wasn't one of those people. I had to, and I continue to discover and uncover and recover all of it. Now, so when I was young, I had an aunt who was personality disordered, and I could tell that her life didn't much matter, not to her and not to others. And how did I know this? I describe how I came to surmise this. But suffice it to say, I understood the reality of that at the time. And the other piece was that I was compared to her a lot. So that was an easy equation in my mind. If she doesn't matter and I'm like her, then I'm not going to matter either. That my life is not going to matter. And that's, as you can imagine, quite painful and quite deep. And that mattered to me, that she didn't matter. And in a way, this book is a redemptive process of her life. That, wow, for somebody who didn't matter, she actually has a very large presence in this story.
Mm.
So I guess her life did matter after
Mm.
all. And so that's the pushback against that is how I live my life. And I can, from today until tomorrow, speculate and hypothesize what would my life be like? Who would I be if I wasn't living in that pushback mode? And I'll never know the answer to that question. But here's what I do know, that living in that mode has built me into who I am.
Mm.
All of that pushback and all of that recovering of mattering is who I am today. And it is what I bring to others.
Mm.
So to your question, there is a connection between what's going on around us and what's going on inside of us and how that bounces off. I'm not sure that was exactly your question, but there is an interplay between those things that matter to us. It's an inner reaction, right? Maybe I see a child who is crying, and to me that matters in a way. I might sympathize or empathize with that child more deeply because of my experiences. That person's pain might be much more meaningful to me than maybe to somebody else who didn't experience that.
Mm. I love the story you shared about your aunt as well, because I even I watched a TED talk over the weekend from an attorney, a commentator that I enjoy listening to on YouTube. And she shared how from the time that we are little, we being a majority tend to be taught to get the job. Like we are the job, not asking, what do we want to experience when we grow up, but what do we want to be? And then everything is sort of tied to that thing. And I was just thinking about this though, how we can tie in everything into one basket sometimes of this is the thing that matters. And then she shares in this TED talk how she ended up, all of these things happen, and it turned out that job, that one thing, didn't actually, it wasn't all of the things. It wasn't the only thing that mattered. And then she kind of shattered into a million pieces, had to figure it all out, and so when we ask the question, what is mattering? Do you think that it is a challenge for us to think of mattering in a broader sense, or do we tend to be like the person that I listen to where it's like all of the things go into one basket or one place or one thing? Or what have you seen in talking to people about this?
I think we are definitely set up for very damaging messages of where our mattering comes from. It is our position. It is our jobs, our pomp, our privileges. It is the appearances. Those are all very elusive because while in and of themselves, each one can be meaningful. And we look to our jobs and we look to our roles for different meaning and mattering. But individually, nothing external to us holds our mattering. And our mattering isn't for sale. Our mattering is a divine right. If we are invited into this life today, that is our mattering. How we show up into our lives will further expand our mattering. But it is not what we can show for ourselves, but what we can bring to others and show them about themselves, perhaps. You can say it that way. And that's where our mattering is. If you look sometimes at the celebrity life where everything is very, it's built on illusion and externality, it's a very flimsy and fragile life and sense of mattering because it's all dependent on what others are telling them, how others are receiving them. And if we're going to live life on that level, we are, there's something that's going to be very lacking for us in our experience of daily living. And, I think one of the things, though, just ultimately is if we don't matter, if we feel that we don't have a place to matter or a way of mattering that we feel matters, not that somebody else feels, but that we sense deeply that this is our space, it's really hard to get out of bed in the morning. It's hard to opt into life. And we have that choice every day, by the way. Are we opting in or are we opting out? And, when we were faced in the height of the pandemic, 33 million people were told to stay home, that they were not essential. In essence, that they didn't matter. How are we supposed to get out of bed in the morning if we don't matter? So other people can try to tell us how we matter or that we matter, but the critical piece is, do we feel it? Are we engaged in it? Are we captivated by our own mattering enough to put in the energy, enough to invest the hope into our dreams and to feel that we're going to grow and be able to move forward?
I'm just taking this all in. This is wonderful. That's part of the conversation that we had in some of the groups that I had met with over the last couple of weeks. And I just asked the simple question, do you matter? I started with that because I like to open the can of worms. I just said, do you matter? And there were, and then I asked, what makes you matter? And there's so many people that started saying things like, I have to take care of my kids. I have a pet. My job, and it was all these things. And I said, well, what if you could wake up and just matter? What if we could just do that? And some people were like, oh yeah, that's a great thought. And then other people, it was just like couldn't even go there for ourselves. Like how, when we realize, or at what point, like how, I don't want to give away too much of your story, but at what point was there something in particular that was like a wake up point for you, or something you did, or anything that said, I matter?
The truth? Would you like the truth, Jessica?
Absolutely.
The truth is, we're never done with that question, and we're never done with the struggle. We will arrive at one piece of our mattering only to stand in the question again. However, we're standing at it from a different place, with a renewed strength, with the resilience that's been built out of forging the pathway forward, resisting the illusion that we do not matter. We have illusions that are very deep and very damaging, and they rob us of our joy and of our hope. What is life if we have no hope? And I discussed this in this story, that how long I hope is how long I live. Without hope, hope is the oxygen of our existence. And if we don't have hope, we don't have anything. When I was about 10 days old, obviously I don't remember this, but the story has been told to me, I wanted to give up on life. I turned blue and I had to be resuscitated. There's more to the story. My mother herself was in the hospital at the time, and I was left to the care of somebody in the home who resuscitated me. That spirit of opting out, of giving up, of despair is something we have to fight over and over again. Some of us more than others. Some of us in certain times of our life, right? We've all had times where we've been particularly joyful. Things have been going very well. All the stars are aligned. And we think we're never going to taste failure or hopelessness or powerlessness again. And then there are times when just the opposite. We're standing in a particularly hard space, a space that tells us we'll never get anywhere. We'll never realize anything about what any of our dreams, any of our hopes. And we know that's not true either, because there's always something in front of us to build and to accomplish and to achieve. And we get to name that. And we must name that. Who's going to name it? There are plenty of, yes, we live in a Western culture that will be very happy to name all the ways that we matter and all the ways that we should matter and all the things that they can give us so that we do matter. A lot of that is very illusory. And maybe that is why a lot of us are standing in spaces that we're wondering, how did we get here? Where is the joy of all of this? How can we touch it? How can we sample it? How can we experience it? And again, I think it's a very personal, growing process. What brings you joy might not bring me joy. When we talked about the truffle day, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, there are 2 food groups, and I'm going to add a third. There's steak, there's ice cream, and I guess there's got to be chocolate.
Yeah.
Right? But let's talk about chocolate for a minute and the pleasure of going into a candy store where you can literally buy endless amounts of products. Okay, we have a candy store here, and one of the things I like to do is to go in and just stand there, look at everything, and walk out with one small candy. Now, I know you'd say to me, what kind of pleasure could there possibly be in making a decision and a choice on one piece of chocolate? But that's where the pleasure is. It's not in the amount. It's in the experience of being present and making a choice. And by the way, we all have to make choices. Our mattering is in our choice. We will know what matters to us by what we choose. Sometimes we know directly. We'll look at a choice and the choice that we make, and this, by the way, is a key. So this is a key that I have found. If you want to know what matters to you, if I want to know what matters to me, I have one very concrete way of looking at it and seeing it. And that is, what choice did I make? Did I make the choice to spend 5 minutes with my child or to go to the mall? Like, what choice did I make? And what does that tell me about what matters? And
that's an ouch for a lot of people.
Yeah. The mall or the child or just looking at our choices and what we make. Right. And by the way, it's not that choice is easy. Making a choice can be very painful. I talk about when I was dating, I did not know how I was going to make a choice. It's very hard to make a choice. It means you're going to have some things and you're saying no to other things. And I trace it back to when I was 12. And in our family, we had a tradition. That's a girl, it becomes a bat mitzvah at the age of 12, which essentially means that she accepts upon herself the full responsibility of the Jewish life and the Torah that governs it. For a boy, it's age 13. For a girl, it's age 12. And so in our family, we had this tradition that we were given a watch. We could go to the jewelry store and choose a watch. And I was in the jewelry store, and I tell this story of there were 2 watches that I absolutely loved, and I couldn't make the choice. And I wanted my mother to say, you can have both. But she didn't say that. And I had to choose one. And one had one kind of face that was friendly and playful and one was very elegant. And at that time, I had remembered thinking, how will I ever choose a spouse? I'm never going to be able to decide on one. And I talk about the dating process where we have to make choices. There's a column of needs and wants, and where we must satisfy the needs. The wants, some of them will be satisfied, some of them won't. But the column of needs, we need to really understand who we are, what we can compromise on, and what we absolutely cannot at the core, because we will not be able to matter. And just one more snippet. For me, part of getting married was that I'd be able to sing in my home without anybody saying to be quiet. I grew up in a home where you kind of had to be quiet. You couldn't sing. It wasn't really what you could do. There were many things we could do. Singing wasn't one of them, but singing is part of who I am. It's part of my entire mattering. So I made sure, subconsciously for sure, that the spouse I married, it would be not an issue at all, that I'd be just singing to my heart's content, and more better than that he'd be singing too, which he does. So
that's beautiful.
Choices. The mattering is in the choices. That candy store exercise is a really hard one, but it's the same thing. And now we're going to talk about eating for just 1 minute, because that's something that very early on was an issue for me. And what I learned over many years is that eating, consuming, it's not about how much. It's in the experience of the pleasure is in the capacity to not just have the food, but to taste it. It's a ratio. If you have all the food in the world, but you can't taste it, there's no pleasure. It's in the happiness is the ratio of having something that was important to you and being able to experience it.
Everything that you're sharing about this morning ties into, interestingly enough, even outside of the conversations I've had with people about mattering, some of the things that we've talked about on this show. And one of the series that we did was about priorities. And I had given a definition of priority that was, I think, a little bit deeper than what the textbook definition of priority is. But I went on to say, tie it into, it's not just what we choose, it's us being good with the consequences of that choice. It's us understanding that once we make a choice, tying it into what you're saying, that choice says what matters to us, that says what our priority is. And we have to be good with, and consequences not meaning, good or bad. It could be either to any of us, depending on how we look at that. But it was a challenging conversation for us here, because I think some people think of, I'll just make a choice. But to think about, it shows what our priorities are. It shows what matters to us. And maybe that's why I've always had challenges, watch moments like you've had my whole life, because I think I've understood, even subconsciously, what that means to choose. What does it mean to choose? And perhaps even my mattering has been wrapped up in that choice, or what matters to me, and knowing all of that. I think this has been such a great start to our mattering series. And I know that next week we are going to be talking about how our mattering affects how we show up in our lives. I feel like you're gonna kick our behinds on that one.
Well, I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a not good thing. I'd like to think of it as an invitation to together with all of you, to move the needle on what matters to us. If I can be a part of the process of this, in this conversation, to help us understand something that matters to us that we didn't realize before, and that we can set that as maybe a goal ahead of us that brings us joy, then that would be something I personally would matter to me greatly, and I'd feel very joyful about.
I love it. I love it. Well, I invite you all to go visit Shifra at her website, shiframalka.com. It's down at the bottom there. And I know that there's a snippet of your book that they can get there as well, correct?
Yes, that is correct. There's also the audio, a snippet of the audio book, and there's the trailer. And yeah, there's a lot there. And I just want to say, and if we have another few moments,
Sure.
the Dare to Matter. This is about daring. Showing up into a large life is something we have to create. It doesn't just happen. Nobody gives us our life and says, here it is, all wrapped up neatly in a bow. We know it doesn't work like that. We have to gift it to ourselves. You know, we're given the invitation, but then we have to unwrap it and unpack it and build it. And it seems maybe sometimes challenging, but number one, what's the choice? And because we want to, each of us has a big life waiting for us to step into it with our people that are in it. And that's all by design. Are we going to do any questions? Or
Yeah, I've been watching for questions, no questions coming in, but I can tell you how impactful this has been because Brittany and Julissa in particular have been passing the tissues back and forth.
Well, could we ask that question to them? I'm not really seeing the chat. I can't see it from where I'm sitting, but I would say why the tissues? And I understand that, but I'd like to hear from them. Could we hear from them? Why the tissues?
Sure. If you ladies would like to chime in and let us know why the tissues, how this is impacting you, we would love to hear that. We're going to take a quick break and we are going to hear from the Weiss Scholarship Foundation. And also we are going to hear our For Love poem. We have been sharing daily on the show, the For Love poem by Dorothy Auger. Today is read by Makiko Ayama in Japanese, and we're going to be right back to hear the end. We'll see if Brittany and Julissa chime in the meantime, and we'll be right back after this.
Imagine a world where every child gets a great education. Educating all children is the only way to end poverty. This is what the Weiss Scholarship Foundation is working to accomplish. Our 6 staff members, our mentors and coordinators, who are on the ground in Kenya are totally engaged in every aspect of our students' lives, so we can give them every opportunity for success. In just a few short years, we have already awarded 141 scholarships. We send children to high school who would have never gone without our support. And then we help them go on to either university or vocational school. We have already scaled our holistic business model to 4 locations and are ready to scale it to many more. Today it's Kenya, but tomorrow it's more countries. Please contribute what you can today. You can make a one-time donation, a recurring donation, or choose to sponsor a child all on your own for all 4 years of high school for just $3,500. Go to our website, www.weissscholarshipfoundation.org.
愛のために。私は愛のために立つ。たとえ魂が砕けそうになっても、たとえ心が辛くても、私は愛のために立つ。私たちの傷ついた世界のために。それは私の小さな故郷だけではなく、それはすべての世界、どこでも、いつでも。私は愛のために立つ。なぜなら、私たちはもっと光が必要だから。もうこれ以上の死はいらない。これ以上の支配はいらない。これ以上の爆弾はいらない。私は愛のために立つ。私たちの子供たちが安全であるために。私たちの友人が守られるために。私たちの国境が開かれるために。私は愛のために立つ。たとえ魂が砕けそうになっても、たとえ心が辛くても。
Welcome back to Project Joy Live. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas. We're here with Shifra Malka this morning, and I am so excited that you guys are here today. And Julissa says, because I resonate with her stories and well feeling that I didn't matter for so many years until I chose to change that feeling. I love that. Thank you, Julissa, for sharing. And I think many of us can relate to the stories you shared today, Shifra. And I think about those moments as well of people that have mattered so much to me, and people who I have been compared to throughout different times in my life, and then seeing them being treated certain ways or like they don't matter. I was also thinking about a time when I worked in the nursing home and worked with a lot of patients who had Alzheimer's and dementia, and their families had just left them there, and didn't come to visit, because when they would come to visit, they didn't know how to handle it. They wouldn't remember them. There was all of these different things. And I remember asking myself, like, when I would sit and talk to them, and they had so much to share and so much life that had been lived, even if they didn't remember certain things. And I remember asking myself that question of why don't they matter anymore, and what happened with that? And it's such a deep conversation to have, or a question to ask. Brittany said, for me, it was very touching and deep. Many years, I didn't really realize why I mattered, and finally waking up and realizing that I do matter, and I'm also a crybaby. I think many of us can relate to being a crybaby here on the show. We do that often. So that is their response, Shifra.
Yeah, and I just want to say, Jessica, that when we matter, there's a magic that happens, and that is that everyone else matters also. The more we feel our own mattering and experience it, the more room there is for everybody else. That's the magical thing about mattering. So to, the nursing home, I had relatives in the nursing home. I had grandmothers, and going there mattered, even if they couldn't be responsive, which they were, but they mattered. And by going there, I was affirming that, not only for them, but for myself.
I love that. And I think, like you said, this topic is so layered. I'm so excited to dive into so many different parts of this. Make sure you guys tune in to Project Joy every Monday in May to hear more from Shifra and this topic of mattering. I think we're going to need lots of tissues. I wish I had bought stocking Kleenex before we started this series, but it's going to be great. So thank you for sharing all that you have about this today. I know that you're going to hang out for a minute. We do birthdays at the end of every show. And anybody that is celebrating a birthday this week, please let us know so that we can celebrate you as well. Because it brings me joy to celebrate other people and them being here, because they mattered when they woke up this morning, Shifra. And it matters that they're here to me on this planet. So birthdays today, we have in the celebrity world, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has a birthday today. You're welcome, ladies, for the visual. Soccer player David Beckham has a birthday today. Designer Donatella Versace has a birthday today. Also, Christine, I never say her last name. I think it's Baranski. She was one of the actresses in many things, but Mamma Mia more recently series. I just love her. I think she's hysterical, wonderful singer, and all of that as well. So happy birthday, Christine. In the celebrities in my life, just one lone birthday today, and that is Mandy Atterbury. Happy birthday, Mandy. It is good to celebrate your birthday with you today. So we are going to sing our birthday song. Are you ready, Shifra? I'm going to sing for everybody. Here we go.
Ready?
Drum roll, please. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, David Beckham, Donatella Versace, Christine, and Mandy Atterbury. Happy birthday to you. Yes. I hope you guys are set up to have an amazing birthday. I want to thank you all for watching or listening wherever you are in the world today. I want to thank you, Shifra, for being here today, kicking off our Mattering. It's going to be amazing. I'm excited to continue to dig in. Juju says, thank you so much. It's a blessing you sharing your wisdom with us today. Absolutely. Excited to hear from her every Monday in May. You guys don't forget to tune in and go visit her. Get the snippets of the book, the audiobook, and all of that at shiframalka.com. It is at the bottom there, and it will also be in our show notes as well if it is not there already. I want to thank you all for watching or listening wherever you are in the world today. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and I want to remind you to make joy a priority in your life today and every day. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
You've been tuned in to Project Joy Live with Jessica Dugas, your weekday morning talk show, inviting you to start your day with a triple shot of good vibes only on the Breakthrough Show Network. Binge all past episodes of Project Joy at projectjoypodcast.com. Until next time, help us spread the joy by sharing this episode, and we'll see you soon.